All right. Good morning, Dima.
Hello, Rob. How are you?
I'm doing great.
I'm loving the background. Nice
Thank
background.
I just whipped it into shape this morning.
That looks really good. So I'm gonna miss the live studio audience. I'm gonna
Look,
miss them a lot.
we'll make sure that we have a special guest appearance from them scheduled, of course. But no, this is good stuff. We got some. I can be really loud. I'm not bothering them, which is probably something we should talk about too. Because I was posted up in the dining room. I saw everything. I was in the middle of everything, and that's how this has all gone down, right? It's just put everyone in the middle of everything else, and we're just trying to do the best we can. So good seeing you. I see your background is kicking and rocking too. It's
if you see, you're gonna see more. They're fixing the streets. So you don't have live audience. I may have a lot of audience in the background. So
look, a few times we've seen someone get out of a van or a truck or something. Look, that's the way this goes.
Yeah. There's always activity. Yes.
I love it. Well, so today is a special day. We have a very special guest, Jason Andreasen, today from the Baton Rouge Gallery, and he's always been on our radar, but Rene Chatelain kind of opened the floodgates there, right?
Yeah.
With the Arts Council for Greater Baton Rouge, and she just unloaded on all these amazing things, creative relief, the Baton Rouge Gallery, and then what came up was the Flat Curve Gallery, and it's some awesome stuff. So look, let's stop wasting time. Let's get the man with the master plan, our man in here, Jason Andreasen.
And so, good morning.
Good morning. And from the Baton Rouge Gallery, you've got to tell us a little bit more about this contemporary, or this Center for Contemporary Art.
We are a nonprofit contemporary art center. We've been around. We've been part of the Baton Rouge community for over 50 years. We started out in 1965, actually, as Unit 8 Gallery. We weren't a nonprofit the first year that we were in existence. So 1965, there were 8 artists who were either on faculty at LSU or were graduating from LSU. And they looked around Baton Rouge and said, if we want anybody in this area to see our work, we're going to need to create our own space. And so that's what they did. They took an abandoned doctor's office, used waiting rooms and exam rooms and whatever space they could have available to them, and turned it into a gallery. A year later, they became a nonprofit, had some of the biggest names in local art as a part of it, and chugged along ever since. Moved into our home in City Park in 1984, thanks to a partnership with Breck that is still in place. And Breck's been an incredible partner for over 30 years. And today we've got 12 exhibitions every year, tons of programming, and do everything we can to try and keep people engaged with the arts.
Wow, I didn't know the history, so this is amazing. Wow.
Yeah, the gallery had a number of different venues, mostly in the downtown area, and then in I think 83 or 84, or sorry, 83, December of 83, there was a hard freeze, and the building that the gallery was in on 4th Street there was a hard freeze. The pipes froze, burst, and then the building that we were in was not a building we could be in anymore. And luckily, there was a person who had a relationship with Breck, one of our artist members at the time, Joe Yoder, and he worked with Eugene Young, the superintendent at the time at Breck, and he said, you've got this pavilion in City Park that is really unused. One of the darker parts of the city's history is the City Park pool. There was this massive public pool that was segregated and was closed down as a result of all of that. And so this building kind of sat vacant for a long time, or largely unused. And the gallery was able to fundraise, turn that into a space that could be a gallery. They actually auctioned off a horse at one point to try and raise money to turn it into a gallery. And the gallery's been there, like I said, since 1984.
Wow, and it is beautiful. The building is so beautiful, the whole thing. Wow.
It's a really rough place to go to work every day, in the middle of a park with big, mature trees, and the artwork changes every month. So it's rough, but I put up with it,
And all the nice events that you host, you and your team.
Yeah. Well, the weather, it might not be quite as nice as the San Diego weather that you're enjoying, but like I
Lots
said,
in the house.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Dima, let's talk about the hail you got yesterday or whatever that was.
Is that what you got?
We got some crazy hail and bad weather. I think there was a tornado in Zachary, or I don't know. I could be.
I hadn't heard that.
Could be speaking out of turn. I think there were really bad winds, and roof fell off or flew off and into a gas station. It was crazy.
Wow. I keep getting notifications on my for my home alarm. They keep sending me notifications. So that's all I know right now, what I get. Yeah.
Well, so I didn't know about the rich history that you had there either. I had to do some digging as well. And what are some of the cool events that you've kind of hosted there? Or maybe something interesting about that building besides the history that we've already talked about, which was also very rich and unique.
Sure.
What have been some really cool moments there that you've had?
Well, there's been a lot. I mean, we do everything we can to kind of drive people to the location. I mean, a lot of it's part of what's made this time kind of tough, because so much of what the gallery is about is getting people into a shared space, having these shared experiences with art, and not just visual art. We have plenty of musical elements, poetry, literature, dance from time to time. We've tried and take a really diverse look at contemporary art in terms of disciplines and media. Certainly one of the things that I think a lot of people look forward to every year is Surreal Salon, which is a big show we do in January. It's open to artists internationally. We just had our 12th in January of this year, which it started out as just a one-night event that was only open to Louisiana-based artists. Here we are 12 years later, and we've got hundreds of people in costume coming out to this big event. Artists who I think we've had at this point from 7 or 8 different countries, about 40 different states. So it's grown a lot. So that's something that we really look forward to every year. One of the things that we had to cancel because of the COVID-19 was a show we do every April called The Real Life Experience, where we put high school students through the same exact process that we do with professional artists, where they have their work submitted by their art teacher, and then it is juried by a panel of professional artists. And then we create an exhibition out of it. We normally get somewhere in the neighborhood of 250 to 300 pieces submitted from all corners of the parish, public schools, private schools, and then have an exhibition with roughly 50 to 60 pieces. And then we have a big opening reception with all the kids, all their families and teachers. And it's one of the nights we really look forward to. And unfortunately, because of obviously the COVID-19 situation, we weren't able to do that. But it's always been a special night. One time, the story that kind of always stuck with me was one year we had the exhibition. We knew who the winner would be, because every year there's prize money that's given away, over $1,000 in prize money. And for the last couple of years, it's been supported by Cordell and Ava Heyman, and their generosity has made that prize money possible. So one year, we had the show up, we announced the winner, and the student who won first place was not there. Mm. We just kind of sat there in silence, waiting for somebody to walk up to the they never did. Turns out the teacher was on the phone in the back of the room with the student saying, "You have to get up here, you have to get up here." About 10 or 15 minutes later, she shows up in pajama pants and a Nirvana t-shirt, and she's just like bawling. She says, anytime anybody from our school wins anything at the art, at an art show or competition or something like that, it's always Billy or whatever the other student's name was. I never win anything. I was just happy to have my work up, but I certainly never win anything. And we heard later on about, the impact it had on her self-confidence and self-image and all of these things. But just the concept of, we had this big art show and everybody's there, and then she shows up in a Nirvana t-shirt and pajama pants, absolutely blown away.
She wasn't even expecting, not even an option to win. Oh.
Yeah. So there's lots of events, and you know, we rent out the gallery. People have their weddings and things like that as well. So
yeah, that's so amazing. So Jason, one of the things Rob and we keep observing right now is how many people are connecting with the arts. So as if it is part of our, it's helping us to be patient, but it's also part of our healing process as we're going through major shock in our society and economy. So tell us about what are you and your team are doing right now, specifically related to helping people during the COVID-19.
Yeah. Well, pretty soon after we started to realize that this was going to be something that would require us to close our doors and not be able to invite people to our space, we started thinking about how can we continue to keep people engaged and try and be of service to the community. And the biggest thing that we've done or that we've been working on is called the Flat Curve Gallery. It is a free online platform that is intentionally wide open. The only rule, literally the only rule about it, is that the work that you submit has to be created since March 13th, since the COVID-19 situation was declared a national emergency. Other than that, it doesn't matter if you are a toddler, senior citizen, experienced, never picked up a crayon in your life. It's come on, come on. So it's a free online portal, and the whole idea is just that people really enjoy making art, especially at a time like this. It can be incredibly therapeutic. It can help you process thoughts and emotions. And again, that can be true for a child, that can be true for an adult, just the same. So the idea is that we're going to be stuck at home. We should be stuck at home, you know, hopefully. And we're going to use that time to create. There's plenty of people who are going to do it no matter what. And hopefully this effort will encourage more people to do it, but also to share it, you know, and that's a great way for us to stay connected and see what our neighbors are doing, see what our friends are doing. And it's been an incredible project for us to work on. We've had over 400 submissions so far. We've had submissions from 2-year-olds. We've had submissions from professional artists who have work in the Whitney Museum's permanent collection. I mean, it has really run the gamut, and it's been so cool to see.
Wow. And is it specific to Baton Rouge, or can people?
No. Literally, again, the only rule is that it is created since March 13th.
Wow.
So
Okay.
we've had work from there's at least one artist from Wyoming. I think there was one from Montana as well. So there's been a few outside of the state that have submitted.
I'm going to have my nephew draw something and submit it too. I'm glad that you allow San Diego. Good.
Absolutely. San Diego is welcome.
I love it. And now all that's really doing too is spreading the love, spreading the awareness, spreading art. And there are no borders for art, right? And that's and art is you think art is just one thing or another. It's everything.
Yeah.
It can be so many. You said mediums, you know, different styles or types. That's all there. And you know, our viewer here is saying that BRG is such a treasure to our community. You're absolutely right. And how important is art to keep our mind focused on something else, or to have an outlet. And so it transcends, you know, to so many different mediums and platforms and to people. And it's just so inspiring to hear your stories, Jason. I love it, man. And so you were talking about the Flat Curve Gallery. I want to share the screen here. Let's get a little techie. I'm going to take off a few graphics because I got to do that, right? It's going to get a little gross. Let's see if we can keep the banner at the bottom. But I want to share the screen now and put us in this little corner. There we go. Sound effects. So this is hopefully everyone at home can see this. This is the Facebook page for the Baton Rouge Gallery. Okay. But I want to float on down to the Flat Curve here, and it's going to ask you if you want to recommend the Baton Rouge Gallery. Let's talk about how important this is. If you own a business, if you're on social media, if you like something, that also you're spreading awareness and you're spreading the exposure these great things and that people are doing and the awesome stuff that's out there for us to see, recommend the Baton Rouge Gallery on social media. That give them a few stars. If you've been there, tell them about your experience. From what I've heard today, 5 stars. And I want to show some of these actual submissions. Let me go back here for a second. I want to go to these submissions from the Flat Curve Gallery, because some of these are incredible people. And so I'm going to go full screen here and take us away for a second. Can you talk about some of these things, Jason?
Sure. Well, and one of the cool things about how the platform for this has been set up, where we can receive images, in addition to the image itself, we also give the artists an opportunity to give us a statement about individual pieces. And so that can really help us provide a little more context. I think, if I remember correctly, this one here is specifically about somebody who is from Guatemala, but now lives in Louisiana, and kind of that juxtaposition of that magnolia up against that fabric from Guatemala. So the fact that the artists give us these little nuggets to clue us in and give us a little doorway into understanding the pieces that they're submitting a little better is really one of the things that is so fun about this project, because obviously we can enjoy a piece and come to them with our own interpretations and in some instances our own baggage. But to see, to get that little insight from the artists themselves is always great. It's one of the things that, the gallery tries to do quite a bit. We try to give every opportunity for our artists to connect with audiences and give those little nuggets, those little insights. This is Todd Hines is an incredible Baton Rouge sculptor. He works with clay, but he's was traveling between Baton Rouge and Montreal, and got stuck in Montreal, not unlike Dima's situation in San Diego. He submitted from there, and we're certainly appreciative of him doing that. Todd has been a part of the arts community here in Baton Rouge for a long time.
I gotta say, this one was cool. I looked at this one so long yesterday. I was trying to figure out how this was done. Like, the picture was taken great. This one captivated me yesterday, and I got to tell you, this is great.
See, but that's it. There's at a time where we're looking for things to do, we're looking for things to engage with, to keep our minds active. Not just occupied, but active. We can occupy our brains with a Tiger King, and I watched it just like anybody else. But we need to keep them active and keep the things moving.
Well, then look at this. I mean, a 13-year-old did this, and it looks like it's even on some canvas. I mean, the talent. Paint. Oh, there you go. So it's telling you at the bottom, paint, evening by the lake. It's giving you all the details there. I mean, I got to thumb through some of this. This is really, some of these had me looking for minutes at a time, and I just loved it. Look at this. This is
wow.
Yeah, there's been a lot of coronavirus themed works, works that people aren't just creating while quarantined, but creating in response to the situation and inspired by the situation. In fact, one of our artists, one of the artists who have submitted to the Flat Curve, his name is Thomas Wimberly. He lives in Los Angeles now. He's originally from Baton Rouge, but moved out to Los Angeles, I think 2 years ago. To actually work with Shepard Fairey, who's one of the biggest names in contemporary art around. And he submitted a work to the Flat Curve early on. That same work, he tweaked it a little bit, but the same work essentially has gone on to be shown. It was just in the New York Times about 2 days ago.
Wow.
It was blown up on the side of on the side of a building, I think, in New York. So that image has really become, something that has legs and has been seen around the world. It's part of a major art competition that is being held and being curated by folks from, I think, the Getty Museum and Shepard Fairey and others. So again, it's that diversity. It's the fact that it is so open-ended, and having a 2-year-old along with an artist who's had their work seen worldwide is incredible.
Yeah. Wow.
Inspirational. Like it's, and you know what? I wish normal daily news was filled with this type of stuff. Like I don't want to hear about the crime that happened, or and you're not just hearing about it one time, you're hearing about it 7 to 12 times in a broadcast. This is the stuff I want to see, and I don't want to see it for a minute. I would love to have people like you explaining this and bringing awareness to this more, because this is incredible.
You're doing it. You're doing it with this
uplifting, Jason.
Yeah. Well,
and you get to be around this all day. You're lucky.
I promise you, I feel lucky and feel like I've got the best job in Baton Rouge. But the really cool thing in my mind is the diversity of opportunities that we have in Baton Rouge. I don't know that Baton Rouge gets the credit it deserves in terms of the number of people that are doing that work, that are spreading the arts throughout Baton Rouge. A bee came to visit. That was nice. The Arts Council, Playmakers, Theater Baton Rouge, LSU Museum of Art, LASM. I mean, there are so many arts organizations who are doing work to keep people connected, to give homeschooling education opportunities, all of these different things. And when you think about them in concert for a city like ours, it's really, I think, been impressive to see how the arts community has tried to respond to this. Well,
so then I have a question for you then too, Jason, because a lot of people wouldn't associate Baton Rouge as having that as much culture as New Orleans, or the food like Lafayette. But what are some of what surprised you about the artistic scene in Baton Rouge, and where would you go if you weren't going to Baton Rouge Gallery?
Well, I'd certainly go to Baton Rouge Gallery first. I will say I moved here in 2005. I was telling you guys before we went live. I moved here in 2005 from Miami, Florida. I was born and raised in Miami. I didn't know Baton Rouge except for, I think, a long weekend in April of 2005, where I came up and was really shocked at the city that I found, because I had no frame of reference. But my wife and I were looking to move away from Miami, and Baton Rouge seemed like a good fit, so we came up to take a look around. And in the time since, I've been blown away to find all the things that I've found in Baton Rouge. There are artists that we have in Baton Rouge who show internationally, who have works in permanent collections all over the place, who are collected by major celebrities like Bonnie Raitt and ZZ Top and all of the musicians. We've got obviously a rich blues tradition. We've got an incredible opera scene. Yes. There's an incredible wealth of opera in Baton Rouge.
Opera Louisiana, got a shout out to them. They're incredible.
Yeah. So I think just the wealth of talent that we have in Baton Rouge, I don't know that we, there are, just speaking of the visual arts, there are artists in Baton Rouge, like I said, who show internationally, who show in museums. And if it wasn't for an exhibition at Baton Rouge Gallery, you might not have the opportunity to see their work locally.
Yeah.
And as a result of that, I think we don't necessarily appreciate how much talent there is here, and the impact that the arts can have, just on a person-to-person level, on an economic development level. That's a whole nother discussion to be had for us as a city. But the LSU Museum of Art, the Glassell Gallery, down on the first floor of the Shaw Center. Those are two incredible places. I love visiting both of them. I don't do it nearly enough because I've got, a full-time job and 3 kids. And the best part is, I moved here. I did not grow up here. I did not go to LSU. And the really cool thing I think about the arts community in Baton Rouge is how welcoming it is. If you show a genuine interest and you show up and you want to be, a part of the arts community in Baton Rouge, they're incredibly welcoming. It's not terribly elitist or any of these kind of misconceptions you might have about an arts community. But there's so much great creative work being done in Baton Rouge. I'm thrilled to see it continue to get better and better.
Let's talk about that, because none of us are from here originally. You are from Miami.
I am.
You've got Dima from Turkey and Jordan, am I right?
Yeah. And you're from where? This
Las
is
Vegas, Nevada.
I have no idea. Did you go to LSU?
I did, but I had a journey where I was Las Vegas, Miami, Fort Lauderdale, Pensacola, and then a little bit of, a little bit of New Orleans, and then Metairie. And then as soon as I went to school, it was LSU. So LSU brought me here, but we're all here talking about the arts, So what I'm trying to say is it doesn't matter. Again, we were going right back to where we were. Like, it transcends all borders with how powerful it is and how much it's needed and necessary. And you were talking about stimulating the economy. I mean, these people are creating art. I had the chance. I was on a friend's show the other day, Jan Risher, and she's in Lafayette. And if it doesn't sum it up, people are creating art. This is Julio Naudin's art, and I bought some art during this.
Yeah.
And I miss your face.
Nice print.
But I think this is like made out of carved out of linoleum or something.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Wow.
I have never seen that before.
Oh yeah.
I've never seen that done before. I saw the technique. I saw the way these prints came out. I bought 5.
That's awesome.
And so I haven't been in a mood to buy art in a while. And this is created very recently. This was created, since then. And I feel like it's so powerful. Jason, how are some other ways we can incorporate art or, stimulate some of our artists' pocketbooks during this? What are some ways to give back to BRG? Like, tell us how we can help. What kind of message do you want to send to the viewers watching today? So
there's a few different ways. I mean, there's the way of making a one-time donation or becoming a member of Baton Rouge Gallery. That's obviously a huge help. It's helping to support an organization that has been there for our local artists for 50 plus years, and making sure that we can, continue to do the work the gallery's always done. But there's also there's also the opportunity to go to BatonRougeGallery.org, and if you click on the tab at the top where it says artists, you can actually go through hundreds of available pieces, ranging from paintings to photography, digital art, blown glass, you name it. There's a wide spectrum, but prints, linoleum prints. So you can go through the gallery artist membership. There's over 60 artists who are a part of the gallery. And you can actually purchase works. You can, and we will hand deliver them, without making contact or anything like that, without putting anybody in danger. But yeah, there's a wealth of works that you could easily spend some time with, going through and falling in love with some things. There's also a new in addition to the Flat Curve Gallery, one of the new, kind of post-COVID or post-shutdown efforts that we've had is called Artists in Residences. It's not terribly unlike what we're doing now. It's a Facebook Live kind of styled interview session where we touch base with local artists. We'll touch base with our own artist members. We'll touch base with artists who have participated in the Flat Curve. And then we'll have musicians and poets and kind of a performance element as well. So we've actually got an episode coming up at 1 o'clock today with Nani Odlocken, with Thomas Wimberly, who I mentioned earlier, and then Donnie Rose, who is an incredible local poet and activist. And Kelsey Livingston, our exhibitions and programming coordinator, will be hosting today.
Awesome.
Yeah. So
and where can they find you?
BatonRougeGallery.org. Yeah. The Artist in Residences series is on Facebook Live. It's on YouTube Live, and that's every Tuesday and Friday at 1 o'clock.
That's so great. So Jason, one last question for you. We always say half an hour, and we get so excited that we keep going.
I'm a little long-winded. I get knocked down for that. So maybe it's my fault.
When I'm preparing people now for the interview, I'm saying it's supposed to be half an hour, but block an hour. Yeah. So, so the last question I have for you is, A lot of people, obviously, we're going through a lot of major shock and uncertainty and fear. What advice would you have for our community and the viewers?
I think one thing, I mean, biased as I may be, one thing would be, make something. I think there's an incredible benefit to sitting down and creating something. For some people, that might be kind of woodworking in a garage. For other people, that might be forming something out of clay or just drawing on a piece of paper. I think just sitting there and being with yourself, being with whatever media you might choose to work with, can be incredibly helpful and therapeutic and let you kind of center yourself a little bit. The other thing would be, and this is advice that I am trying to take to heart. I don't know how successful I've been, but one thing is to kind of be thoughtful in your action to not hit the burnout point. I think a lot of us are thinking about what can I do, and trying to make sure that you're responsive to a moment like this, and make sure that you are maybe in service of other people or friends and family or your workplace. And we need to kind of keep in mind that when this is quote unquote over, or when we start getting back to whatever the new normal might be, there's still going to be a lot of work then too. And so we should take some of the time right now to make sure that we are maybe recharging the battery a little bit and making sure that we'll be ready for that time too.
Yeah, you're right. We're just in phase one, in my opinion.
Sure.
It's all just phase one. Yeah. Well, Jason, it was such a pleasure to have you here.
Absolutely. Thank you guys so much for inviting me. I really appreciate it. I love the show.
Every episode at the end where we say, "Oh, this was my favorite episode."
No, this was your favorite.
Favorite episode. So as of now, until the next show, you are our favorite episode. It's amazing again how art is so important, and whether we are drawing on our own and being present, or playing with little kids and trying to draw with them. I see a lot of kids drawing outside with the chalk, and it's so wonderful to walk around and see that. So it is just to look at the silver lining, as sad as the situation we're living in right now, it is to be present, to connect with the art, and to realize that life is beyond just work and all the things we constantly run after. It's much bigger than that.
Yeah, I think Winston Churchill had a quote after or during World War II, and I don't remember the quote word for word, but it was something to the effect of, "If it wasn't for the arts, what were we fighting for?" It has such an impact, and in ways that we don't even think about on a daily basis. I mentioned Tiger King. I mentioned Netflix. All of these, we're engaging with the arts on a daily basis, and you're not thinking about it necessarily as I'm engaging with the arts, but you are, and you're engaging with people who are the product of arts training and arts experiences. So it has a huge impact on everybody.
Yeah.
And I would say, to those kids who are drawing with sidewalk chalk or anything like that, send that work in. Let us share it with the community. Let us share it with other people.
That's so great.
Yeah.
Well, look, and to a certain extent, creating such a fabulous and polished live broadcast is also an art form, everybody.
Background.
Yes.
No studio audience, no food deliveries, no nothing.
Yeah.
This has been the most boring but awesome and inspiring, artistically creative broadcast yet.
Seamless.
It's been awesome. Look,
I have to teach your kids, Rob, to go in the back and start doing peekaboo with us. So next time I talk with them.
I love it. This has been awesome, everybody. And what a great show. And look, we have one last shout out to Debbie Daniel. If it wasn't for our viewers on this one and sharing the love, we wouldn't, Baton Rouge Gallery and all of the other, you've heard how this takes a village. They wouldn't get the exposure or awareness that they deserve. And check it out. Yeah, go ahead. Close this out.
I should mention, I should give a wave back to Debbie. She is she's one of our board members. She's our vice president this year, an incredible supporter of the gallery. And really, we're lucky the board kind of gets tired of me thanking them as I do, but we've got an incredible board an incredible staff. We're really lucky to have everybody that's involved with the gallery. So hi, Debbie.
Debbie and Retha and everyone out there that's joined in. Let's, Jason said to create, and I love everything he brought to the table. Let's also let's give back. Let's be flexible. Let's enjoy art. Let's create art, and let's share art right now. If there was ever any other time, and look, let's go out with a blushing Debbie. I don't think we've had that on a show yet. So let's have a blushing Debbie and say goodbye to everybody. Give them a big old wave.
Thank you guys so much,
everybody. And Jason, thanks for chitting and chatting with us today. It's been an awesome ride.
Wow,
for having me, guys.
the dictionary.
Chitting and chat. Yeah, I need some sleep. I'm burnt out, like Jason was talking about.
Yeah, same.
Have
a great one, everybody. It's been awesome.
Bye, everyone.
Thank you.
Bye.